What is going on YouTube? This video is about the dots bias trading indicator up here where my mouse is. Today's April 16th, 2025. And I just wanted to go over the day to show you how I use the indicator to inform my trades. So today, where my mouse is, this is the 9:30 NYSE open. Generally, I look to take setups when the dots are all green. I look for longs or red, which I'll get to later. Look for shorts. So this morning was a tricky one. At 9:39-ish, the dots fired off green, and this blue line represents the VWAP. So why I passed on this setup is because when 1 minute candles fail to displace over the VWAP, I expect some kind of resistance, and which is what happened in this case. You could see dots fired off green, VWAP acted as resistance, and price folded on itself. So that was just what was going through my head. And then you can see even here, let me get my trusty line right here. I consider this a failure to close. Failure to close is when you have a swing point a little high, and then this 1 minute candle could not close above this candle. You can see it wicked and then came back. So price action goes on, and when the dots are mixed meaning mixed colors, I expect choppy price action to do nothing, and that's pretty much how price unfolded for most of the morning. So at this point, I had not taken any setups. And you can see again, the dots fire green. So when this happens, I am looking for a long. So I was actually expecting price to pop. So I executed what I call a 1-dot entry function. So price, it didn't displace, but it closed over the VWAP. So I entered at the close of this 1 minute bar. You can see it didn't work out. It didn't work out, but it went about, at the time, it went like 80% of the way to the target. So I could have put my stop to break even. I didn't. I took a full stop out here. So that's just a case of damned if you do, damned if you don't. It was a setup, and it just didn't work out. So you can see the dots are mixed. And then this 1-dot entry function right here would have worked. Right here, I think the ATR, I use the ATR to inform my stop and target. This trade worked. I missed it. I just didn't take it. So that setup worked if you did a 1-dot entry function. And then you can see dots were mixed. Price folded back on itself. Lunchtime, I don't trade anyway. So this was what I call in the room. Even though there was a setup that worked, there's a setup that did not work. This is when I got. So I left the morning session being down 1 hour. But this price action was garbage. And then at 1:30, Federal Reserve Chair Powell spoke, and then let me just refresh my chart. This is good radio. You can tell I'm not good at editing because I'm not going to edit this. I don't know how. And here we go. So I like to call this crappy morning equals good afternoon. So at 1:30, thereabouts, Powell was speaking, dots turned red, and then we just had a bunch of entry functions. So right here, oh, that's front running. So right here, price retraces back to the 8 EMA. Candle, you short the last candle, That is at the 8 EMA. Short here, target here. Price was choppy. Sweeps this high. Another EMA pullback, and then. So if you missed some shorts, if you don't have entry functions, there were fair value gaps that held, EMA pullbacks that held. I'm sure there were some engulfing candles that held, but dots are all red. Don't try to pick bottoms. You can see right here, dots are red. You could structure shift. You're an ICT person, and then price just folds over. So there are plenty of opportunities to get short. I'm curious if you see any entry functions that line up with your style of trading that would have worked. So I got part of a move down here, and then after the dots reset, I got another move down here. So I actually ended the day 1R plus 1R, despite this morning being down 1R. And that was my day. So if you're interested in using the dots indicator, it's mainly for people who struggle with intraday bias. It helps you determine when to look for setups, and if you're looking for a setup, in what direction. And if the dots are mixed, it helps keep me out of setups. And so if you think that this is something that could be helpful to you, there's a 7-day free trial. The link is in my bio, or use the code DOTS for 20% off any subscription. Hope to see you in the room.